Honorable Speaker and colleagues, it is saddening, and I want to confirm that Eby'Ekiteezi is a parish under Kasangati Town Council, the constituency being Kyadondo East. The affected villages of Lusanja, Kiteetika, and Masoli parish existed way back. Actually, by the time the landfill was commissioned or gazetted in 1996, Eby'Ekiteezi and Lusanja existed, and the people had their own land. It is actually the landfill that found the people, not the people settling near the landfill. Right, Honorable Speaker and colleagues, it is saddening, just as we joined the Parliament, this particular Parliament, in September 2021, I petitioned the Parliament and government on this floor and informed the House and government of the worsening state and condition of the landfill. Actually, a few days after, I went to the landfill with the State Minister for Kampala and the Deputy Executive Director for Kampala. Water flooding from the landfill had taken away people's houses. Part of our demands was for KCCA to station standby engineers on site so that they could avert the flooding, maintain the landfill, and regularly caution or alert the neighbors in the event of any risk. Unfortunately, on Saturday, with no alert, with no proof of a standby KCCA engineer or technical person, it is reported and narrated by the witnesses, not even as reported by the media. The witnesses are reporting that it was a blast that blew up the sand and garbage in the air with the smoke, and then it came down covering people's houses. That's the narrative from the residents. They even continue to allege that for months they saw Chinese contractors installing pipes in the heap of garbage, because there were two heaps. There's a new heap and the old heap. Now the old heap is the one where the Chinese installed arranged pipes. And when the locals questioned, these Chinese briefed them, according to the narrative from the village, the locals, that they are extracting gas. KCCA must come out open. What were the Chinese doing? We don't want to imagine and assume that it was a mere slide by the landfill. There are more likelihood that it was either an accident or an intentional mistake or negligence by either the Chinese or even KCCA. And even if it was the contractors, it was in full knowledge of KCCA. No one has mentioned that, not even in the Prime Minister's statement. Equally, when this tragedy happened, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, I beg for your indulgence because I'm the area MP, and I'm sorry for taking long, much as all of you have issues to add. Colleagues, when this tragedy befell, it is the locals who did the first and initial rescue, using hands, hose, and pangas. We provided them with equally gloves. And every person reported to have been retrieved alive was actually retrieved by the locals, not government, not KCCA, not even police. When police came, they came with hundreds of servicemen, some in uniform, some ununiformed. By the time I arrived, I was there with the Minister for Disaster. The police themselves and some of their servicemen in plain clothes tried even to stop me from accessing. Of course, they had prior knowledge that for us, we wanted to find out what were the Chinese doing. We wanted to dig out and identify the positions that had been reported by the locals. As we speak now, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, part of the complaint we are having on ground, true, there are so many agencies on ground. And true, we have held meetings, both with the Minister, the Prime Minister, and so many other agencies. But one of the concerns that has remained a constant is that the rescue operations are only done during the day. From Saturday, it is even saddening that people had to die. They were buried beyond the garbage. KCCA and this government could not proceed with the rescue efforts overnight. I was there at midnight. People were still crying under the garbage. Because in the first rescue efforts, people were following up, those who were knocking up and were digging those particular spots. The police and the militants chased us away. They chased us away, and I've been telling them and the minister that allow these locals to point at their houses. Maybe when you dig there, you can save some remaining lives. It has not happened. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, these are also human. What we had is a purported condolence message from Mr. Museveni, alleging that these are encroachers encroachers near the landfill. These are lawful owners with land titles. Majority are owners of Milo and some Bibanja owners. It is very saddening to find your people being branded encroachers after being killed by the state. Who was in charge of the landfill? Under which law do neighbors owe a duty to protect themselves against actions of a neighbor? Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues,
Order, honorable colleagues. Let the area member of parliament. I know emotions can run high on some of these situations, but let's listen. Honorable, you can try to conclude.
Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, our immediate prayer is for government to initiate rescue efforts day and night, because these are lives. We don't want to say we have lost all the hope, much as our hope has reduced. But at least rescue efforts can go on day and night. On Saturday, the minister was there, and KCC and other agencies. They promised to commence rescue efforts overnight, and pledged to offer light. I heard the Prime Minister, the minister thanking KCCA. They brought trucks for lights. When I went to the site around midnight, the generator for the lights was not working and functional, and neither was anyone standing by to even operate the machines. We are demanding that this rescue effort must be done day and night. Equally, for a number of our people who were injured during this crisis, we heard of condolences and support of 200, now 1 million. In this country, where can you get medication at 1 million? Let's talk about treating our people fully. Equally, when it comes to resettlement, it is true. There are some few houses which are closer to the landfill, and indeed they are at risk. But we are saying, as we discussed the question of resettling them in a tent, our people who had their own houses and land won't be resettled in the tents for the rest of their lives. We want a comprehensive approach that will talk about how do you compensate these people, where are they going. They cannot be taken to stay in the tents forever. These are people, some with families. When it comes to equally those in the tents, the tragedy befell on Saturday. The whole of Saturday, they had promised with the Red Cross and others to put a tent. Honorable Speaker and colleagues, the tent was placed in the night. Most of the victims had to seek shelter from neighbors. I was there overnight. And even when the tent was raised, the Minister for Disaster had promised that they're going to offer beddings and other items. They were only delivered yesterday, some of them. Just yesterday, and it befell on Saturday. Where is the preparedness of government? Because these are lives. And that's why the minister is mentioning a small number? Because people don't see hope in going in that would be tent. They don't see any hope because by Saturday, even when they raised the tents, there was nothing inside the tent. Even the toilet came 7 hours later, the portable toilet. And these are lives you are putting in a tent. Where is the preparedness and the urgency in rescuing and supporting these people? Honorable Speaker and colleagues, as I conclude, when it comes to the rescue efforts, part of the concerns of the locals is the security organs brought in their own people in plain clothes who they are working with. Those same people working with security blocked the rightful residents, including myself as the area MP initially, until it had to be the intervention of the minister and the IGP. And we are telling them we are the people who know. Indeed, the Prime Minister was embarrassed on the ground when she inquired from one of the people working with the police, and that person could not identify the relative he's looking for. There is a possibility that there are some people who are pressed to own bodies not belonging to themselves and want to understand what is being done at the mortuary to ensure that the bodies are handed to rightful relatives. Because there's a likelihood, and the same, and even those who are right, I interacted with one of the family which claimed that they were being charged to retrieve their body from the city mortuary. I brought it to the attention of the Minister for Kampala and the Prime Minister on the ground. We need a clear position and commitment that these people are going to be supported, compensated, and get their bodies for free. It is KCCA responsibility and government. Government must come out open and own up this saga and make a promise to compensate and fully compensate these people. As I conclude, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues,
when I will conclude this time,
we are very sad. We are very sad as people of Kyadondo East. We are very sad as the people of Eby'Ekiteezi and Lusanja. But I want to bring to your attention, Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, that a number of these victims are from your areas. Actually, when I was on ground overnight, I saw a family of 20 stranded outside, covering themselves and I got interested and inquired. They told me they had traveled from Mbale. Another family had traveled from Guru. And these people are saying that their family members are still missing, buried by the sun. Right Honorable Speaker and colleagues, when the Prime Minister visited Lusanja yesterday, I brought to their attention that some of these families are not from here, but they have come to identify their bodies. The rescue exercise has delayed. How do we support them? The Prime Minister said we cannot support them. These are your people. They are there waiting for bodies of their relatives. They traveled from your areas. They don't have a house. I pleaded with the Prime Minister that allow some of these people, I did just screen them and allow them to shelter in the tent because they are staying outside. When you see them, you may think they are residents of our area. No, they traveled from your own areas. You people here, you members here. When I brought to the attention of the Prime Minister.
Honorable Muwada, I know it's very emotional and all that, okay? But just conclude, please. Use 1 minute to conclude that point.
My prayer and my request is that even these people who traveled from distant areas must be supported. The Prime Minister rejected that proposal with the ministers, and I'm bringing it to your attention because they travel from your own areas. Who is going to support them? They are staying outside because the rescue effort is ongoing. They haven't received their own bodies. What should they do? And then lastly, the locals are requested to be allowed to identify positions of their own houses. Much as they were chased from the landfill, but they are saying they know the exact location of their houses. They wanted to support and assist the police. We requested that at least they identify one relative, one family member at a go. They take that member down to identify the location of their house. Because these excavators are going step by step. They may take months to reach. There are even some KCCA workers who are trapped in a KCCA small truck. They are still under the garbage. But KCCA is not speaking about it. There are some KCCA workers who are operating a smaller machine. They were also covered. The distance from where the excavators have reached to where they are is still long. And the coverage is not even a quarter so far. in terms of the coverage. We must make all efforts and advocacy that the rescue is speeded up, and we support our people. It is very saddening, Right Honourable Speaker and colleagues.
Thank you.
Right Honourable Speaker, when we were on ground with the Member of Parliament, when I arrived and I found the Member of Parliament was being stopped, I intervened and inquired from the security. And they told me they didn't want the huge number of the team the Member of Parliament was moving with to access the areas which were dangerous, because those people would also be at a risk. And that is why they were stopping him. And later on, when he talked to his team, they stayed back, he came on board, and we continued working together. Right Honourable Speaker, issues of disaster requires emergency response. And sometimes, when something has just happened, and that's why I did mention that I want to thank the locals in that area. They were shift to come in and respond. As on the side of government, we had to assemble a team, because the Ministry of Disaster doesn't respond alone. The Ministry of Works came on board, UPDF and the rest came on board, and that's how we were able to execute what we did. Now, the tent that was temporarily provided is to provide shelter to those whose homes were affected and didn't have where to go. And we realized it would be very important that food is provided for them immediately. And Right Honourable Speaker, I delivered food that very day. The items, the non-food items that the Member of Parliament talked about could not be distributed immediately because we needed to mobilize people to come, to pass information to them. And when I held a meeting with the local leaders, requested them to give directions to the people, let them know that there is a tent provided for them. They rolled on and continued mobilizing. People kept on coming. And today, right now, as I speak, Right Honourable Speaker, we have 85 people in the tent. And the number still continues to increase. We are going to continue providing them food and all the necessary requirements. As government looks into the details of the compensation, how it will be done, work on the list, because these are things you can't rush into doing it, because you need a clear data of those who are affected. Right Honourable Speaker, 100,000 being charged at the mortuary is not true. When I got this information, I got in touch with the officer at the Ministry of Health, and he said if anybody is asking for money, it could be conmen. I shared the contacts of the person at the mortuary with the local leaders and told them if anybody asks for money, they should let me know. If there is anyone who has been asked for money, I really request that you give the details and that money will be refunded. Right Honourable Speaker, finally, I just want to make this clear that as we speak now, the Prime Minister is chairing a meeting on how we can handle issues of compensation and the welfare of our people who are affected. And I want to conclude by asserting that government and the Office of the Prime Minister is still committed to doing everything it takes that our people who are affected in Eby'Ekiteezi are supported amicably. I thank you.
Right Honourable Speaker, the Minister of Kampala in 2018 reported to government that Eby'Ekiteezi landfill had reached to its capacity. There was need to decommission it at that time. Unfortunately, there was no resources allocated towards this activity. However, KCC went ahead to identify and procure land in Dondo. This such Eby'Ekiteezi land is used by Mukono, Kampala district, Wakiso, and some other areas, because Eby'Ekiteezi is located in Wakiso district. So we share the landfill. Going forward, compensation compensation, I think the Prime Minister talked about the compensation of those people, but this is still an emergency. We cannot talk about the compensation when we still have bodies down there. And we still to register all those people who are there. That's why we requested you boss to come on board to assist us, tell us how many people were there and how many should we, and how many are we expecting there. Because right from Saturday, they were telling us 1,000 people, 2,000 people. That is a small area. We don't know how many people were affected. My area MP has said that there was no person from KCCA for maintenance. There was the maintenance truck which was on board, which was also affected. We have not talked about it because it's still down there, and when we are counting, we also say our vehicle is still down there and our people are still down there, the KCCA people. Yes. About the Chinese who are on site, Right Honorable Speaker and members, I have not seen any Chinese on site, and I cannot comment on that. Others have not just been seated, have been working on this issue. We knew this issue since 2018, and it has been ongoing. It's Parliament and Cabinet to start working on that issue. But others were also sorry for what took place on Saturday, and we are going to work hand in hand with everybody to see that at least something is done.
Thank you, Honourable Minister. Thank you.